All right, guys, welcome in. Draft special, weekend update, kind of mixed together. Still presented by Coolbet, of course, even though Chowcan just popped up behind me. I can see that. That's okay. I think we're pretty much secure in saying that Trevor Lawrence is going number one. We're not going to spend any time talking about that. We've kind of
Maybe he won't.
Chad and I started that. We started that conversation 3 years ago, Chad. So we.
That's true. I've been saying that shit since day one.
Yeah, we were sitting in my basement watching a Clemson game. And we're like, okay, so when does he get drafted? Cool, 3 years from now. That's fun. Uh, but I mean, I guess another guy that no one really heard of until this year, Zach Wilson. He's going to be the second overall pick, according to all the reports. Um, I don't know. Do you guys refute those reports, or should we just move on? Because I think the draft starts at 3.
Yep.
Yeah. So the draft starts at 3, and Chad, I know that you have a really good opinion on this. So Mac Jones or Trey Lance? Because for some reason, Justin Fields is not a part of this discussion. I don't
What the
understand why.
fuck happened to Justin Fields in the last month and a half of his life?
Nothing,
He
man.
went from
I think
being
he's
like
just
the number two. Like there was never a question about it. It was him and Trevor Lawrence holding hands their whole like collegiate careers. Since high school, they've been 1-2, and they're going to the draft 1-2 all year long. Same thing. Last 2 months, everybody's like sleeping on Justin Fields, and I don't understand it. And my biggest thing is like,
I,
who's gonna get the prize at the end of this? Because you're getting a fucking stud of a quarterback in Justin Fields. But back to your question, I can't take Mac Jones at 3. He's a bag of milk. I'll say that statement all day long. Hopefully he proves me wrong. And one day he looks like he's in shape. Like Tom Brady looked like a bag of milk and his career turned out fine.
I
I'm
hope
not
so bad that they take Mac Jones because Josh and I are working on a little project that's going to get you a nice little. We'll say the first Mac Jones swag to be introduced will be given to you.
I hope so.
So explain the Trey
But
Lance stuff though to me because I don't understand where that came from.
I don't
Like
get
Like
I
you
it.
thought it
mean,
was
like
all
where?
Fields. Yeah, like this whole rumor of him because I thought it was always Fields and Mac Jones, and then where did this Trey Lance thing come into play? Like I thought he was always the
So
odd man looking in.
yeah, I mean, my theory on Fields isn't necessarily that he's a bad quarterback because that would be stupid. I don't think that he's a bad teammate because everyone seems to kind of like him on his team. But if I was a GM and you're the 49ers and you say, we're going to bring in a guy and potentially sit him behind Jimmy for a year or two, what are we looking at? Will this guy actually stick it out and do the work? Because he didn't do it at Georgia. So
Mm-hmm.
what is convincing me that a professional quarterback is going to come in, sit behind, and learn with the clipboard? A guy that wasn't able to do that behind Jake Fromm. Now, where the Trey Lance stuff came in, I think that he's a tremendously talented guy that probably doesn't really know what he's doing, and I mean he's probably going to need 3 years sitting behind somebody. So
I think Trey
I
Lance has this like Michael Vick-esque thing about him, and that's how he's always been compared to. And it's not first of all, it's not fair to him because he could fail miserably, but
yeah,
he had his ceiling's just so high that people are putting him up there. Like he's not a bad quarterback, but I always made the joke with Zach Wilson why I wouldn't take him. But how do you take a quarterback who hasn't played in the league? And he wasn't playing against
yeah,
top competition when he did play.
dude's a sophomore
Like
too.
he's been all he's done is play practice football. Everybody looks good in practice. Literally, want to know why his
Yeah,
pro day was phenomenal? He's been practicing his pro day since they canceled the season. It's so
yeah. I
scripted. All those
saw
guys already know it. And he's a practice player. It's what he is. So if I'm
I
drafting a
saw
guy to
this
be my scout team quarterback, that's my dude. But to win football games, I can't do it.
I saw this funny post about Trey Lance. It said he looks like the actor that would play Patrick Mahomes in the Alex Smith story.
Yes.
So, my God.
But yeah, like I don't understand. My big thing about the whole Fields thing is like, and you've talked about the upside of Trey Lance here. Fields didn't he run a? Does he not have a faster 40 time? Like, can he not do everything that Lance does, but with a
Yeah.
better and more accurate arm at the same time? So and
I
played
think
against
that-
better competition.
I think the only knack on Fields that like he's an Ohio State quarterback, and that's not fair to him. Like
Right.
he
Because he's
came
a
in
Georgia
all-
quarterback. He just didn't stay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, in that sense, I'm going to kind of defend in there. I feel because you're on limited time in the NCAA. You've got to get whatever kind of reps you can to show the scouts what kind of player you are. And maybe he just didn't see he was going to be able to take in front of Fromm. Maybe there was some kind of connection with Fromm and the coach, and he decided to get out of there.
Kirby
I mean,
Smart.
it
got
worked
the
out
boot,
okay
right?
for him.
Like he came in and then they flipped coaching staffs on him. So I don't blame him for leaving. I wrote an article
Mhm.
about the transfer portal and how like it's a really big gray area to me. I respect that Mac Jones sat there and waited.
Yeah.
I just don't think that he's a franchise quarterback. I think he's a phenomenal college quarterback. But every quarterback's going to look good when you have Devontae Smith on one side. He had Waddle on the other. They had the next year there's going to be a receiver coming up. I don't know who it is yet. But they had receivers all
Yeah.
over the field. So I don't think Devontae Smith was actually ever covered. So it makes every quarterback look good. So I don't know. I just have a hard time taking Mac that high. Like I do like him. I respect the fact that he stayed. But I think his receivers made him look that much better than he was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's a
Well,
bad
I think that I think that Mac is the most accurate quarterback in the entire draft. So I don't think that he has any of the other skills that any of the other guys have. And even a guy like Kellen Mond or Kyle Trask is going to be much better athletically than he is. But he's probably the guy that's going to get the ball where it needs to be. And that's when it comes down to it, that's really all the Shanahan offense is getting the throws down. You don't have to be a
Mhm.
superior athlete.
No.
Well, no, it's a
Just
glorified college offense, is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
And I think
Well,
that's why
I
guys
just-
Fields will flourish there.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I think
yeah, you might be right. And if you look at the quarterbacks that Shanahan's had success with, it's Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins. So if he's trying to build his own one of those two guys, and you look at the draft, I mean, Mac Jones is really the only guy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, they might be making a mistake the same way that our producer's making a mistake with his mic on right now. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's going to be as far as the Shanahan connection there goes. I think that he'd be better suited with somebody like Fields. I mean, you called it a glorified college offense. I think what they're just going to be running is a whole lot of dink and dump. They're set up for the power run. Let Debo catch a ball on an inside slant or something, and let him go upfield with it. Right. I think that's the way their offense is really going to be designed. So, yeah, you could really lean on somebody like Fields in an offense like that if you're just going to be run heavy.
yeah, I mean, his best years with quarterbacks were Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins, and the guy that fits that mold in the draft would be Mac Jones. So it seems logical that he's just trying to recreate success.
And I get it. Like Mac Jones ran that system at Alabama. It's a huge RPO system. I just don't think his athletic ability is going to translate to the next level. And I know he has one of the best arms in the draft, but there's a talent like Justin Fields there. His arm's just as good. He's a better athlete. He's played the RPO game. That's really what Ohio State football is. He's been doing it since he was in high school, and he's played more games and more snaps. So to me, that's the guy that you should look at. And I still think they're blowing smoke with Mac Jones and Trey Lance. I think Justin Fields is the guy. And I've said that for the last couple of weeks. I just don't see how else. I did first think that Zach Wilson was the guy because I thought Fields was going too. But now he's been leapfrogged somehow. And now I think the 49ers are just blowing smoke to see if people are going to try to jump them almost. I don't know. I think Fields is still the guy there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't benefit the 49ers to blow smoke, but it could still be smoke that other teams are putting out there that, if you're the Falcons or the Bengals and you want to start a rumor, but Bengals are a bad example because they're a bad organization, but like if you're the Falcons or the Dolphins, you want to start a rumor that, Justin Fields is going to be available, come get one of our picks. I mean, that makes sense. I believe that. But as far as the number 4 pick goes, if you were in the shoes of the Falcons, like what would you do? I mean, they're in a tough situation cap wise. Now, they're actually in a position that if they were to trade Julio Jones before June 1st, they wouldn't be able to sign their entire draft class.
Yeah.
I think
I don't even know what to say to that.
The Falcons, to me, it's like I don't think there's a defensive player worth taking at 4. You don't need offensive help. So, like, Kyle Pitts is a stud, yes. He's a game changer, I get it. But your offense is so stacked as it is, you could benefit so much by moving down a couple picks, getting a second rounder, and you get 2-3 starters in one draft that can change your defense where you need it. You can't stop anybody, and everybody in the NFC South scores. So to me, it makes sense for that 4 pick. I think the 4 pick's one of the most valuable picks in this whole draft. It could dictate how like the top 10, top 15 go, however that happens. Sorry, Caitlin, you had your O face on, so go for it.
I did. I maybe on the outside, maybe I'm an outside thinker here. I think they need to take a freaking quarterback. Like at this point, there's the rumors that you said talking about Julio. Matt Ryan's contract is what's really hampering that team right now. At some point, you're going to have to cut ties. And there may not, I can't think of what the next couple of draft classes are looking like. If you're sitting there, let's say that Mac Jones goes at 3. If Justin Fields is available at 4 and you have the opportunity to sit on a rookie quarterback and somehow, some way start cutting some cap and go into it as a completely fresh coach, completely fresh regime over there, why wouldn't you do it? Kyle Pitts? Guys, we're talking a tight end? Like, I don't know. Like, that's crazy to me. There's generational tight ends, I guess, like people like Rob Gronkowski. But I don't know if Kyle Pitts is the answer to the whatever's going to ail them over there in Atlanta. You mentioned defensive help. I guess the best defensive player they could take is Micah or Surtain. And I still don't know. Like, Micah doesn't make sense for them because it's not the type of system they run. And then Surtain certainly makes sense for damn near anybody in the draft. But I still don't think that solves their problem. Like in the long run.
What someone's going to pay, right? Like whatever, it's going to come down to whatever someone's going to pay. And obviously the Lions tried and they said no. And that was about 3 spots. So to get from outside the top 10 into 4, what are you giving up? And
that's exactly it. If they're saying no to the Lions moving up to that spot, I don't think many teams say no to another team trade offer like that for what's been rumored to be a tight end. You know what I mean? Like, to me, there has to be something more there. Either they're looking at a super high-powered wide receiver option and they are going to trade Julio, or they're going to look at a quarterback. That, to me, is what their only real plays are here.
I have a question. You told me the 49ers weren't taking a quarterback 3 weeks ago when they traded up to 3.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
You told me
their quarterback on the roster sucks, so it makes sense.
Yeah. But
yeah, they had a lot of money wrapped up in them, but they can get out from underneath them. We're talking about a team that can't even sign their draft picks. Their team is hampered by a quarterback's contract right now who's on the other side of 30, who's a good quarterback. But now we're talking about having to take a massive renegotiation to help the team out. It's just not going to happen. You're a team that is in trouble with a brand new coach. Why wouldn't you take the opportunity to take a player like Justin Fields if he's there? It's crazy to not do it. And not to say no to teams offering you players.
I'll tell you why you don't take him. Because you call a team like Chicago, and you know that they're going to suck next year, and you get their first-round pick this year, their first-round pick next year, and probably an extra second like next year or this year, and you start collecting picks. You would rather be able to build through the draft. And obviously, the situation they're in right now, that's the only way they're going to be able to get out of it is by building through the draft. So you need to call somebody, and you need to get out of that pick because it's too hot not to.
Washington.
I agree.
Washington's a good one.
Washington, Chicago, New England, 15 to 20. Yeah. You can rebuild your roster with those picks over time.
Well, and I would definitely target like Chicago and Washington because you would think that those are going to be the teams with the worst records. I have it in the back of my mind that Bill Belichick isn't going to be picking that high in the draft next year. So you want to get the value for your picks, and it just seems to make sense. But we'll
like those 3 teams are a good quarterback away from being a really good team.
Yeah,
if they were playoff teams with no quarterback. Matt Ryan's a very good quarterback.
Yeah, if it was me, I would just take Fields and move on with it. But we're also assuming that he's there, and he might not be. So beyond that, we had I think a pretty significant trade, and it took somebody out of the quarterback market in the draft, in my opinion, based on everything that you can see. Uh, we have the Panthers giving up Teddy Bridgewater to the Broncos for whatever pick. I think it's a 6th round pick, but doesn't really matter. The Panthers are essentially paying him to go, so it's almost like a cut and trade or a cut and sign, which is kind of strange how they were able to work that. But I personally think this takes Denver out of the quarterback market.
It makes me believe they don't think one of those 4, maybe 5 are going to be there at 9.
Right, and they're not willing to move.
That's what it like. It makes me believe that guys are going to trade in, and John Elway's like, we're not going to get one anyways. We have to make a move.
Well, honestly, like if you're the Broncos, you have to sit there and think, look at our evaluation on quarterbacks. The only quarterback that we've hit on in the last 20 years is fucking Peyton Manning. Like, wow, that a no-brainer if I've ever heard one.
Jake Plummer was not bad, man. Jake Plummer was pretty good.
Was he there 20 years ago? He was probably there on the tail end of it. So I guess he would have been the early 2000s.
There is Elway, Greasy, Plummer, and Greasy wasn't that bad either when he was there.
Yeah, well, Elway was drafted in '83. He was drafted before we were born.
Yeah. I meant after he retired.
Yeah. Yeah, but
well, I mean, I guess it just makes I think it just makes the rumors true that they were coming out like 2 or 3 days ago talking about that they were trying to get competition for Drew Lock. They were trying to push him a little bit, and I guess this is what kind of competition you're going to get is Teddy Bridgewater. You guys were really high on him last year. Do you think, as a backup quarterback, I think that's a pretty damn good quarterback.
I think he wins the job.
I agree.
He wins the job in Denver.
I also think that Denver's going to trade Drew Lock, and if that's the case, you guys already know how I feel about him. Bring him home.
Send him to Pittsburgh.
Bring him on. Yeah, he looks like a good dude, man. Honestly, I think you guys put in a shitty position. When you watch the games, like when he's played well, he's done really well. When he doesn't get chased around and his ass whipped all the time, I mean, what quarterback is successful from getting rocked all the time? Mm-hmm. Nobody.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes to the Super Bowl win.
Right? Like when it comes down to it, the offense that Denver wants to run, I just don't know if it's gonna gel with what Drew Lock can do. But you get Teddy Bridgewater out there. I'm not sure he can keep up with some of the weapons that are out there. I'm not sure Bridgewater has the arm to keep up with some of these guys. But well, I personally think he's gonna be the starter.
I think he's a great Band-Aid, and I think it's the right thing for them right now. If they can trade Locke and get the 2 draft picks out of it, like he was a 1st-round pick, was he not?
Second.
Yeah. They could probably.
What are you drinking over there, Shane? What are you drinking over there, Shane?
Oh, lovely toboggan beer. Only Holy Roller.
Lovely. All right.
Got to take care of that local,
I gotcha.
But
sorry, Charlie, what are you saying there?
Yeah, sorry. I rudely interrupted. No, I think if you can reclaim a draft pick in the late 3rd. It's true, for a sponsor.
Yeah.
So it's okay. For a late 3rd or a 4th, like I think it makes sense. Take your Band-Aid, take your medicine for a couple years. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is going to lose you football games, and I think you're going to win more games next year with him. I think Drew Lock, like Shane was super high on him, and I'm not like this is a shot thing.
I still like him.
I just don't think he was. Yeah, I don't think he was ready yet. He wasn't ready to be thrown into the fire, and that's the thing with a lot of these kids, right? Quarterbacks make no money now. It's okay to be wrong now. Back when we were younger, like if I was Sam Bradford was the last big contract or Matt Stafford. You couldn't be wrong to cripple your franchise. You can be wrong now, and it's not going to set you back forever. And I think now it's like get your draft picks, move on, bring a quarterback in because your team's not that bad, and compete. Like outside of the Chiefs, the AFC West,
they're strong defensively. Yeah, when it comes down to it, and you guys know how I felt about the Broncos last year, so just save it all because we'll do a preview show. But the Broncos have only had Nick Chubb and Von Miller on the same field in the last 4 years for 6 games. Now, imagine that both of those guys can get on the field together. That's changing the defense. That's automatically helping your secondary.
Mm-hmm. So, and on a side note, guys, sorry to cut you off. I know we're dropping our mock draft tomorrow, but the NFL Network's doing theirs today. We are 1-for-1 with the first pick overall. We nailed it.
All
Hey,
right.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Trevor
We
Lawrence.
know what we're doing. We know what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Liam,
Our credibility.
Liam, I got a project
now
for you,
we should
okay?
get the blue check mark.
Liam, I got a project for you. While we're doing this, at the end, I want to go over the last all the quarterbacks that have been drafted 1 and 2 in the 2000s. Like anytime there was a quarterback at 1 and 2. I saw the list today. It's pretty staggering. You guys will see what I mean at the end. So we know what this means for Denver. We kind of talked about that. Now, what does this mean for a team like Carolina, who is rumored to be selling their pick to the Patriots?
Just building draft capital, building those picks up, keep trading down. Kind of the old New England way, I guess we'll say it. Carolina's not that bad of a team. They were in a tough division last year. Like the Saints and the Buccaneers, like they were two powerhouses. And now you have, unfortunately, the Panthers were the odd man out. So I think now, like, just build up your that draft capital. Build as that defense is growing. They're young. They're hungry. Is it Jeremy Chin? That's his name.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I didn't know
Superstar
who
in the
he
making.
was. And you guys, like you guys, like Chad, pay attention to this guy. That guy could play football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, like where the draft is, like it's so offensive heavy, and like I think they need a couple playmakers. But like Sam Darnold, you got your quarterback. You got your receiver in Robbie Anderson. You have a running back who's probably the best in the league, or 1B besides Saquon, who was knocked out last year. You need help on the back end. You can get that stuff later in the first round, second round. Build those picks up and just keep trading it and build that team. I think that's the best thing they can do.
And ultimately, their coach is on an 8-year contract, right? He's in year 2 of his 8 years. Now, if you look at the quarterback room, you got Sam Darnold, who they haven't picked up his 5th-year option, but I think that they will. PJ Walker, who showed that he could play a little bit, and then Kalen's boy Will Greer. He's he's kind of right. So you don't really need to bring somebody in. So I agree. I think what Chad's saying makes a lot of sense. Get out of it. Let's build for the future. Your defense is young. You got Christian McCaffrey there, who might not love the fact that you're still rebuilding, but I think that you could probably be okay and be the second place team in that division next year.
For the $80 million he got paid, I think he's okay.
Yeah, well, for that division, the only team that didn't get weaker was the Bucks, and I guess Carolina would be the other one. They got a little bit better at quarterback, in my opinion. But I think they can chase.
I think they can chase an O lineman and a wide. I actually think they could go after a wide receiver. I think going after a wide might be a good answer for him. Like if they're able to somehow get one of those Alabama boys, that might be the answer for them. That might be a good solution.
They can trade down to like a team like New England at 15. One of those receivers are going to be there.
Yeah, that's right.
Chase
that's what I'm thinking.
Gone, yes, Chase will be gone. But Waddle or Smith will be there, and you put those guys beside a guy like Robbie Anderson. Sam Darnold just upgraded his life.
I heard that the Dolphins prefer Waddle. The Dolphins prefer Waddle, so Chase might be sitting there.
And is DJ Moore not still there too in Carolina?
Yeah, he plays inside. I'm talking outside.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
DJ.
So I think that the potent offense.
The Bengals.
Could you imagine that offense?
The Bengals are going to get Chase. The Bengals are going to get Chase. Yeah. But Liam, you said you had a thumbs up. You know all the guys. I want you guys to listen to this list and try and find a theme. Okay. Okay, he didn't look up the right thing. He didn't look up the. That's okay. I appreciate it, Liam. It was if a quarterback was picked at 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
So the list of, like, I know a little bit off my head, but I didn't know all of them. But it was So RG3 out of the league. Both sucked. Okay. And I mean. Both have been traded. But go back even further than that when a quarterback's going 1 and 2, like Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf. Tim
Yeah.
Couch and who was the other? Who was the quarterback drafted with Tim Couch? It would have been like 2000.
Great name.
Maybe.
Great name.
Yeah, maybe 2002. Yeah, 2002 when the Browns came back. Derek. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whoever was drafted with Tim Couch, and like Tim Couch obviously didn't work out. And yeah, there was the Wentz, or who was it?
So one's
Goff
good,
and
one's
Wentz.
bad. Is that your theme?
Always. Yeah, 99. So Tim Couch, and then who was drafted beside Tim Couch?
Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, so Tim Couch, Donovan McNabb. Yeah. So you're looking at a theme of every time that there's a quarterback 1 and 2, only one of them works out. So you guys know where my money is.
I will tell you right now, it's on Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. So when I look at it, and I was like, shit, the Jets really, really fucked this up already, because I think that Fields is going to translate to the NFL perfectly fine. But that was going to lead me into the next thing I was going to ask you guys, which is, if you're a team sitting inside of the top 10, which one of you wants to trade out? Who wants to trade out of the top 10? Who should trade out of the top 10?
I think there's only one answer there, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know anyone should.
The only answer? I think Denver should.
Denver, and actually I think the Lions.
Yeah, well, I agree. I 100% agree. And
the Lions
maybe
don't
that's
need a
offense.
quarterback. They have Jared Goff. They need a receiver, yes. But their defense is in fucking shambles.
Yeah.
Get defensive players.
There's lots of value in the back end of this thing.
Like you have a new coach. Which means he has a couple of years to build. Jared Goff's not a bad quarterback, and he's more than a Band-Aid. So you're good there. You need a receiver, yes. I think you can get a receiver between 10 and 20. There's a lot of studs there. But the amount of defensive help you'll need, if you can get, there's guys in the second round. You'll get an extra first next year. You can probably get a first and a second next year. You can, if a team's jumping far enough to get that quarterback or that receiver, those are the two stud positions this year. You can rebuild your team that way, and I think, yeah, Detroit, Denver, and Carolina, they hold all the power in this draft.
Yeah,
and okay, so let's, Kalen, do you disagree with any of those? Sorry, before I cut you off.
Yeah, the Detroit one. I mean, like, just because you're exactly what you're saying. Like, from what we've read, the front half of this draft of the first round is going to be offensive heavy, right? And there's players in defense you can pick up through the back half of the first, all the way down to the fourth or fifth round that could actually producers on defense. If your defense is in shambles, pick them up in the second, third, fourth, and fifth round. If you need a hitter, we're talking about a wide receiver, there's only going to be so many hitters you can take. And if you have the opportunity to have one of the first chances at choosing a wide receiver to replace somebody like Golladay, like, that team can't be without a wide receiver. Who is number 2 there? Like, who is the starter right now there for Golladay?
Mohamed Sanu.
No, not happening. Like, if you're gonna have Jared Goff, isn't Mohamed Sanu? I thought he was a free agent. Whoever, but that being said,
Jared
regardless,
Goff played with nobody his whole career.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Stop it.
I would come on. What do you mean he's talking? Cooper Kupp's not a nobody. I wouldn't say Robert Woods is a nobody.
Robert Woods has been a number.
They don't have to be first round picks.
85 times.
Sure, but we're talking about okay. So name somebody else on Detroit that can carry the offense.
Yeah, but
there's nobody.
TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson.
Number 1.
Okay, so the tight end, a tight end that is a very good tight end, but is somebody who's not a game-changing type tight end, is going to carry the offense. They need a wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty solid year.
You can also down between 10 and 20, you're going to get that guy. There's that many of them this year.
Also, you got DeAndre Swift there.
Oh,
that guy can catch the ball out of the backfield, man.
That's a big lean. That's a big lean on there. I'd say
Jared
you
Goff
still need a
number 1. He's not Ryan Tannehill. He doesn't have AJ Brown. I just gave it to you. I gave you number 1 finally.
Yeah, the slight. Yeah. Well, but anyway, so I think that you have the opportunity. Anyway, that's why I'm disagreeing. If they they have the chance to pick up all these defensive players that they would need on the back end. I think they can do that in the later rounds. They still have the opportunity to take potentially the best wide receiver or second best wide receiver in the draft because Chase will be gone. But if think about that, okay, let's flip this, guys. If Chase is still there, somehow still there, they have to take him. They have to.
For sure.
There's no way they can't.
Yeah, that's different.
There's
That's
no
different.
way Chase is getting past Miami. Not a
Wait,
chance.
hold on. 5 or 6 weeks ago, we were talking about the Heisman winner Smith because I forgot his name and how insulting that was. And now you're saying that it's like that the only way they would take a wide receiver is if it was Chase, but not the Heisman winner in Smith.
No, they're both there.
They would not take Smith.
Chase, I could see someone jumping to get Chase. But the Dolphins have to go receiver.
Well, that leads me to the next point, which would be, so if you're a team on the outside of the top 10 looking in, whether it's a receiver you're looking for or a quarterback or the best tight end in our entire generation, if you believe any of the draft scouting, which is Kyle Pitts, by the way, Caleb. Who are the teams that are coming? Who are the teams that are coming in?
I think I got to look at like New England still.
Or who's going in?
Who's going to trade into the top 10? They have to be on the outside of the top 10 or at 10. So I guess
the Chargers are one of them.
Okay, and they're coming in for.
It makes sense. Like,
they're stacked at receiver though.
Yeah,
come in for a left tackle maybe.
Yeah, but you want to get Kyle Pitts. That's a safety net right there, man.
Did they just lose somebody? Did they just lose their tight end? Who was that, or who do they have as a tight end there? They have a kid tight end.
Hunter Henry said he wanted to go play with a real quarterback. They went to fucking New England. Where'd he go? Was it New England?
Yeah, New England. Yeah, New England. Yeah, with Jonnu Smith.
Your quarterback won Rookie of the Year. I'll go play the real quarterback. And you went to a guy who threw 9 touchdowns last year. You're a fucking loser, Hunter Henry.
8. Didn't even throw 9. 8.
8? Sorry.
That's
worse.
Yeah, I know.
Ugly.
That's a team that I think that New England is a team that should hop up, but not necessarily for the quarterback because I think that price would be too much. I think that they're a team that could leapfrog up because I think what was wildly obvious last year was they do not have a passing game. And Cam Newton's not good. I've said that many times. I don't want to say it was all Cam Newton when your opportunity is to throw the ball to somebody like Keneal Harry. Love the fact he's Canadian. He was a first-round pick, has not lived up to that pedigree. They have an opportunity again to take a wide receiver and potentially completely change their offense by doing that. So maybe they have I think they have the opportunity to move up for that reason rather than a quarterback because that'd be too pricey.
Who could be? And like, you guys can fucking castrate me the second I say this. The Washington football team.
Of course they could, yeah. They could.
What'd you call that guy last year? Scary Terry McLaren? Is that what you guys could call him?
Scary Terry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick. And that guy wants to take shots all day long. You paid your backup quarterback who you thought played good enough in the playoffs to get you through when Ryan's done, to take that chance. Go put weapons around these guys. Let's go.
Here,
I think a team like Washington could trade in for a receiver.
I am Cliff Kingsbury, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm saying, I'm going to get Kyle Pitts. Look at that fucking offense with Kyle Pitts. Ooh. I understand that you might have to you're probably giving up your first-round pick next year. And I understand why somebody would want to vote against something like that. But you're an offensive coach. Your quarterback is on the verge of superstardom. You have arguably one of the top receivers, if not the top receiver in football on your team. I don't know, man. That feels good for me. Your defense is getting better. You lost Patrick Peterson, who.
Are you allowed?
Patrick Peterson
had to replace that.
Couldn't have been.
He didn't play good last year. I don't think he played that good last year. But they lost their best corner.
Yeah. Isaiah Simmons could play corner better than Patrick Peterson can.
Isaiah Simmons can play anywhere. That guy is a beast. Except against LSU.
Yeah.
He was very lost. Me and Shane.
Yeah, put that guy put that guy in press coverage and see if you can get a receiver off of it. But I would say if I was Arizona, I would move up for either a Kyle Pitts or any of those top 3 receivers. Because any of those guys will fit into your scheme. And really, like, other than defensive pieces, I guess is what Chad's point is. Like, what corner are you going to get at? I think they picked like 16 or 17. What corner are you going to get at
They're-
17?
Yeah, 16. Yeah.
So what corner are you getting at 16 that changes your defense?
You got a point. Like, there's no
I
other
think-
because the
I
teams
think
that
you
come in
wait.
front of them need corner help. So it's either you
Yeah.
jump up and get Sertan or Horn, whoever your guy is,
Yeah.
or you have to sit where you're at.
Right.
I
Well,
can't see them jumping from
well-
outside, but I get what you're saying because that means you can't double team Hopkins if Pitts is in the middle.
yeah. Can't double can't. I imagine they go up and get Chase, and they got Chase on one side and Hopkins on the other. Like, just fuck
You
off.
can't triple
And they
stamp, double
They
stamp.
have
Yeah.
they have two other ballers too. Don't forget, Christian Kirk and Isabella are still two damn good receivers too, and Young.
Well, I'm gonna
I like
say
Christian
Christian Kirk is pretty good. Isabella, I bet you that
Rookie.
guy's
He
out
was
of
a
the league in 2
rookie.
years. Dude, that guy's gonna be out of the league in 2 years.
Wasn't he a first round pick
No,
No,
or a
I
second
hope
round
not.
pick or something like that? What was
I
his?
hope
He was a
not.
high draft pick.
Liam.
He was
how
pretty
about
high.
you?
Liam, can you look
Yeah,
that up? For me? He wasn't a first. He wasn't a first, but I think he was a second,
Yo,
second or third.
the only way that guy was a high draft pick is if he was smoking weed at his draft party.
No, he was the fastest. I'm pretty sure Andy Isabella for
Uh,
the Cardinals. I'm pretty sure he was drafted
how
high
do you
because
know
of his
his
he was
whole
40
name?
time.
That's what I'm
Yo, he doesn't
Andy
even have a
Isabella?
Wikipedia page.
Because he's one of the best.
doesn't
He's
even
one of
have
the
a
best
Wikipedia
receivers to use
page.
in Madden. Because he is one of the best receivers to use in Madden because he's so fast.
Oh,
Class.
man. Wow.
Yeah.
Second round? No.
I think he was probably the
Yeah.
third. I think he might have been the third
Liam's
wide
about
receiver taken,
way
and it was
away,
because
right?
of his 40 time. I think he had the second or the third fastest 40 time of the wideouts.
Well, I'm sure he can tell everybody at the YMCA that in 3 years when he's playing rec ball.
Oh,
Against all
stop! He had that one really.
The whole
He had that really
Gonzaga
good
football-
catch.
The whole Gonzaga basketball team?
yeah. He'll be the guy that fills in for Jalen Suggs on the Gonzaga basketball team rec team because
Yeah.
Jalen Suggs is going to the NBA. So
Such a hater.
everyone else is no, I'm not a hater. The guy's useless. But let's talk about we brought up a little bit of college. So let's talk about Alabama because they are in a position where they might have more players drafted on their team in the first round than some of the Power 5 conferences. So I want to know how you guys feel about that. Do you think it's a possibility?
Honestly, with
We
Nick
already know there's
Saban,
3.
nothing is out of the question.
I think that there's 5 slam dunks.
Like, that guy that just breeds talent.
Mhm.
It's what he
Yeah.
does. He sends guys every year. And if you come from Nick Saban's team, like, and I've said this, like, not even on the show, it's in my everyday life. If you go to Alabama, you're at least getting signed as an undrafted free agent.
For sure.
Like, you're going to get your chance. That guy just breeds studs. I don't know what it is, what his, like, I honestly, like, I want to be around that guy just one time to understand, like, how guys fall in love with him so much. But if you go to Nick Saban, you're at least getting a tryout. Now, as far as first round talent goes, I'm taking Alabama guys all day long. Coaches leave the NFL to go to Alabama to be a coordinator,
Right.
to go back to the NFL.
It's a different
It
level.
happens all the time. So, whatever Nick Saban's doing down there when he did at LSU before that and now Alabama, yeah, I think there could be 5-6 guys taken there. And in the whole draft, who knows what could come out of Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the 5 guys that I think are slam dunks, and you can see if there's anybody I'm missing. But Mac Jones,
Smith, Waddle, Jones,
100%.
Sertan,
Najee Harris, and there you go, and Sertan. So that's 5 automatically.
and you haven't said
and-
Leatherwood yet, who's a beast, and Dickerson. There could be 7 in the first round.
Yeah, well, I think that Dickerson has a little bit of injury concern. I think that guy slides out of the first round, but Leatherwood, that would
Could
be,
be
I
set.
guess, the question mark. Yeah. Now, we'll see when because we do have some pretty exciting cool bets that we got to talk about a little bit after. But before we get to that, Kellen, what do you think about the Alabama? And then I was going to ask you guys another question. I just don't want to cut you off.
I mean, I just think it's come to be known what we see every year, right? Alabama just always pumps out these kind of talents. Now, did they always pan out? No, but they're certainly going to get first round looks, and this is just nothing new. I mean, I don't know what's the record for the first round? Do you know offhand? How many players
There's
taken from a
LSU
team or
at
from a school?
7.
Was it
I
7?
think yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the other one that it was 6 or 7 when they had their national championship year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they'll get to 7, but it's yeah. And I would say that all of the players that they have the opportunity to pick in the first round this year, I have no question marks about any of them really.
Yeah, I think like the overall draft record, I believe, belongs to Urban Meyer, but I'm not 100% on that, so I don't want to quote that. But before we go into what we think would be our props, like it is kind of surprising how little Ohio State players are in this first round, by the way. And that's just a side note. But I want to know who you want
like
for
saying
your
that,
team.
huh?
I mean, yeah, Liam is counted out because the Rams never have a first round pick. But we'll go. Yeah, we'll go through. So, Kalen, Titans are at 22. Who are you picking at 22?
Oh my gosh! If Tevin's there, I want Tevin Jenkins.
Okay,
for sure.
So you're looking
That's
at
what I'm
line.
after. Yeah.
So, Chad.
With Tampa, like I honestly, when you're picking 32, it's just best player available. Like you've been down this road, Shane, numerous times being a Steelers fan, picking 27 to 32. You don't have a projection in your mind because you don't know who's going to be available. It's whatever the best player available at your need is, that's where you're going. And you take what's going to help the organization more than like what you think. Like, you can't reach at 32. It's that simple.
Right.
Yeah. You just get the best player available. And I think that's what the Bucs going to do. I want to say, like, I don't want to go D line, but I think that's probably where we're going to fall.
You guys love
we
the D line.
definitely do not need linebacker help. Like, our linebackers are set. Our front four is set. Can we use help in the secondary? Yeah. But offensively, like, I think tackles and guards, like, your best bet there. Eventually, Tom Brady's not going to be there, so you might as well start rebuilding that O-line now.
Or draft Trey Lance.
Stop it.
Right? Right? I mean, if you want a project.
All 5 quarterbacks aren't going to make it out of the top 10. No. You want one, you got to go get one, and they're not trading up. So, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. For me, you guys know where I stand. Running back all day. I prefer Harris. I would
all day.
Yeah, I would gladly sign up for ETN if he was there and Harris was already gone. But I also heard from I'm part of a Steelers beat writer like program thing that they're really, really interested in this Collins guy from Tulsa. So that would be another linebacker to play beside Bush. And anytime the Steelers draft a linebacker, sign me up for that because they don't miss. So that's where I'm going, but it better be Najee. I've been wanting them to drop the running back for the last 2 years now, and it just hasn't really worked out for me. Last year it was J.K. Dobbins, and for me to say I wanted an Ohio State player on my team, you got to know he's good, and he was obviously good.
You were so mad. You were so mad.
I was fucking pissed. And like great. The only thing that calmed me down was that Claypool had a good year. Because that was the pick.
I told you he ball out.
Yeah. I didn't think it on that level, but yeah, I mean that guy. I don't know. I think he's a pretty good steal in the second round. We'll see how his career goes, but
like I literally I remember the text you sent me like, Chad, tell me the honest truth. Don't be a Notre Dame fan. I'm like, yo, man, this guy can play. That's all I said to you, and he didn't let me down. He showed up.
Yeah, I mean. 10 plus touchdowns. So, what can you say about that? But
we drafted in our fantasy league, in our dynasty. He helped us out.
Here, like, and I know no one gives a shit about the Steelers, but I'm calling my shots anyway. So it's either going to be Harris, and they take a guy named Byron Brown, who's an Ohio State linebacker in the second round, or they're going to take this Collins guy, and they're going to take Trey Sermon in the second round. Because I will tell you one thing.
I'm watching it, Shane. I'm looking for it.
The Steelers love Ohio State. They are two-hand twisties over there. All day about it. But
you
that's enough about the Steelers, I know.
And then miss on Sermon. Like, that's what it comes down to the Steelers. You can't miss twice.
Well, they're definitely dialed into one of those guys. And running back is going to be a top priority for them. And like I said, there's enough talent in this draft for them not to miss on one. And for some reason, they're not getting a lot of love. Like you would think a guy like Najee Harris would be, I don't know, I wouldn't say a top 10 pick, but like DeAndre Swift, was it him that was drafted in the first round last year? Who was the first round running back last year?
I think he was.
Unless
You guys
it was
remember?
second, I believe. Unless the Lions traded back in.
Tell them Clyde Edwards.
Nah. There was definitely a running back. Clyde Edwards? Okay, maybe it was the year before. Anyway, there's just no way that you can let that guy slide by you. But let's go on to some cool bets, and then we'll see how you guys feel about some of these, because I was doing a little bit of work. I was getting all our stats together. Now, we've all been pretty clear that we think Kwity Paye is maybe the best defensive lineman in the whole draft. I think that I speak for everyone when I say that.
Might be the best edge rusher, I would say. He's edge rusher for me, obviously.
When you're working with these betting sites, they're basically calling that a D line. So there's D line or there's linebacker. So do we think that he is going to be the first defensive lineman drafted?
Oh, it's him and Phillips. That's my who I'm tossing between there.
Yeah, and that's really the top two guys that are on the draft or on the odds board.
That gold helmet screams first round. Absolutely, take the boy from Notre Dame.
Kwity Paye from Michigan, I believe.
Oh, the yellow helmet then. We'll take that one.
Wow, you just lost all credibility in your life, Caleb.
Yeah, you just disrespected Chad.
You just hurt me personally.
Yeah, I would say go get that one and get it fast, because the line when I sent this to you guys earlier, it was in the pluses. Now it's already it was like a plus 115, but when I looked before we came on, it was a minus 119. So
wow,
we moved the market. You know, that's how we do it. But sticking on Kwity Paye, Chad just left, but I'll talk to you, Kalen. Sticking on Kwity Paye, if he was, oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm back. What did I miss?
I'm saying over or under the 19th and a half pick. So he has to be picked before 20.
I think it has to go under.
How do you feel about that?
Is the best rusher in the draft. He has to go under.
Yeah,
it's an all
the first
heavy draft. Like I get that.
I'm feeling under too.
Teams are going to make moves. Like I always love this. Like quarterback is your most important position. And they've always said, like, the next one is, like, left tackle. No, it's not. Your edge rusher is your next most important position. If you can't get to the quarterback, your defense is already over.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. So, no, I think that under 19 and a half all day long, I'm taking that under.
Yeah.
You can't say no to that kind of talent. I know he's from Michigan. It pisses me off. And it hurts my soul. But he's under, and I think that's what
it's close to a 2-to-1 payout as well.
Yeah, and like you got it as a quarterback. That's how the game works. Like we won the Super Bowl by getting after Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, hands down, no questions asked. Number one. I'm not going to say he looked mediocre against, and that's the disrespect to him. But our pass rush is what made them not win. And I think getting a guy like Paye is how you do that. Is going after those guys.
Well, the Bucs pass rush shaped the Kansas City entire offseason. They fucking dropped all their shitty old linemen, and they went out and found all the studs in free agency and trades.
Yep.
So, okay, I don't know how I feel about that, but I think we're going under on that. So,
yeah, 100%.
Jamar Chase over under 5.5. Will he be okay? Kalen?
Kalen?
Oh, I thought you were frozen.
No, I'm. If he's picked at 5, what does that mean? Is that an over?
He's under.
It would be under. Yeah.
Then I'm under.
Okay, so I'm about that over, but Kalen's on that under. I'll write that down just so we can track it. Of course, we're only playing for jelly beans, but if you do want to go on Coolbet, they play for real units. But okay, over under Travis Etienne, 31.5. So basically,
Under.
is Travis Etienne is he a first round pick?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. There's no way a running
I
back
think
leads
that
the
I
nation in
actually,
receiving and doesn't go first round.
But
Yeah.
I actually think Najee Harris is the first running back taken. I do believe that. But I think
Could
that
be.
when the first running back goes, the waterfall starts.
Right.
There's
Well,
4 of them.
Let,
That's it. There's
let's
Harris,
talk.
ETN, and the 2 kids in North Carolina, and then you shut that bitch down to the 4th round.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Trey Sermon might sneak his way out there, but I don't think that you would reach for a running back unless. I mean, getting an extra year on the contract for a running back isn't necessarily a big sell.
They don't life sell.
Well, I mean, the franchise tag for a running back versus almost any other position is so much lower, which is kind of wild to think about.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I think that this one's going to be answered automatically, but this is crazy odds on our friends at Coolbet. So over under 1.5 running backs drafted in the first round.
Over.
And the over is actually plus. So
Whoa,
if you guys are feeling,
make some money.
yeah, go get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it
some
won't be by the
dollars
time
on
this
that
airs.
bitch.
Yeah. So here, this kind of ties together a segment, and we'll finish off with this one. So Alabama players drafted in the first round, over under 5.5.
Ooh, under.
I want to say under. But we just talked about this.
I'm all on the
There
under
could
too.
be 7.
Yeah.
But it's those 2 old linemen that throw me off.
Mm-hmm. I'm under,
Like,
baby.
I think
Under.
that-
he got injured late in the season. I think it was in the semifinal he got injured. And like Leatherwood, like I think he could be a first round pick, but this draft isn't about the hogs and the grit and in the trenches. It's about the skill positions. So he could just keep falling.
Yeah. I think like what's going to hurt those guys is people are going to trade up for quarterbacks, and the people that are dropping back aren't going to get an interior lineman. You're going to draft a tackle hoping that he converts to right or left tackle in the NFL, and if he doesn't, you're going to kick him inside. You don't want to get a guy that you could potentially pigeonhole yourself in the first round and pick an interior lineman that doesn't give you like the value of a center. Now, Landon Dickinson, understood, he's a center, but he's fucking broken. There's going to be decent centers available in the second round, so it's not worth reaching for. So I'm saying all the way under. They might even this one's going to be a nail biter because there's going to be 4 Alabama players picked probably in the top
in the top 15.
12 picks. And then Najee Harris is going to the Steelers because we already talked about it. Yeah. So, and then after that, it's going to be crickets everywhere. But definitely check it out. We're going to post some other picks. These are just some of the ones that we like for right now. We're going to post some picks behind the video that we're releasing tomorrow. And I don't know, you guys got anything else?
It's everything from me,
I'm
baby.
just pumped. It's a big day.
All right.
This is my Christmas.
Yeah.
Like it's the shit that gets me excited.
You just won the Super Bowl. Leave this to
yeah,
us.
but he's not used to it. He's not used to it though.
Yeah.
He's used to this being the biggest day of the year.
Guy, Kalen. I'm a
Yeah.
top 10
Well,
guy. I get mad every year.
Look, how blessed are we that we have the draft Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the Kentucky Derby at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Watch out for the Kentucky Derby video because we got a good one coming. So cheers, boys.
Say that 10 times
pick
fast.
up.